We're on the air now. I like the music.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
I asked the FBI if there was any connection to Islamic radicalism. There appears to be, but they are naturally cautious and waiting throughout to see if this is the facts emerge. I have checked with intelligence staff, and they do believe that there is some connection to ISIS, but I might say that is not official.
Good evening, everybody. You're listening to Smith Radio. Brian Smith and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you a very somber show. I don't mean to be down in the dumps, but man, this is going to be a tough one.
Well, I'm going to hope to steer you out of that by the end of this show.
So, you're listening to Smith Radio Sunday night, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You can listen to us every Sunday night right here on smithsmythradio.com. Today is June 12th, 2016. And you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Smith Radio. If you want to be a part of the show, the call-in number is 513-888-1538. Follow us on Twitter. We've got a lot of tweets, a lot of followers on Twitter with a lot of great information at Smith Radio, SMYTH. And the shortcut to iHeartRadio is iHeart.smithradio.com. We set that up for you so that you can follow us on iHeart and listen to all the past shows whenever you want to. If you got an Apple computer and you want to listen to us on iTunes, we're there as well. Pick up your smartphone and go to the app and just search Smith Radio. We are all over the place.
All over the place for you. And don't forget, that's SMYTH. A lot of people have had a little bit of trouble finding us when they search if they do not spell that correctly.
Right. So unless you are completely just...
No, a lot of people do not know this yet.
I'm shocked.
Kim Kardashian tweeted, I just found out, heavy heart, sad, whatever, blah, 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 whatever she tweets, you know. And you look at the time, and it was 12:50.
What?
p.m.
How is that?
Because she was out partying. People wake up
right.
at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
And then they, by the way, your neighbor caught me coming in and said, "Hey, did you hear the news?" And I'm like thinking, oh, wow, something just happened. And I was like, what? And he was like, they took 50 more of us.
I'm like,
your neighbor said that exact phrase. They took 50 more of us.
And he is a Cold War patriot.
Yeah.
He's an old guy. He's been around for a long time, and he is a tried and true patriot. He's a Tea Party kind of guy. No doubt.
Right.
Wow.
He's actually part of the forgotten generation. That's the generation between... They're too young to have served in World War II.
Okay.
And they're too old to have served in Vietnam. So a lot of them were the Korean War veterans. A lot of them. And they're called the forgotten generation because... nobody talks about them. Nobody talks about the Korean War or the vets.
Hardly ever.
It's always about the baby boom kids, which are the Vietnam War veterans and all the people that spit on them when they came back.
Correct.
That is a fact. And then, so anyway.
So this show is going to be about Orlando. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about this entire Islamic. It's not radical Islam. It is just Islam. If you claim to be a Muslim and your religion is Islam and you say that the Quran is the way of your life, listen up. This show is about you and how wrong-headed y'all are.
And if you are one of those people and would like to tell us how we're wrong, go ahead and call in. 513-888-1538. We would love to hear from you, and we'll be nice I mean, I have friends that are Muslim, and they're very peaceful people. But what your argument is that they must not be following the Quran.
No, correct. And that's the thing. If you claim to be Muslim and you practice Islam and you're like, hey, no, these guys, they got it all wrong. No, you got it wrong. They got it right. There is not a single imam in the entire state of entire country of America that is stating that this needs to stop. Nobody.
Is an issue. It is a little bit of an issue.
What about when in the Catholic Church, when the priests were raping and stuff like that, and a big whole debacle and that big mess? I know there was a little bit of skating and moving and shifting. There
was definitely some covering up on that, which is kind of bad. But
they finally did take responsibility. People got paid. I'm not saying payment rectifies it all, but people were brought to justice, and the Catholic Church came out and said, no, this is not who we are.
Or they shouldn't be, right?
Right. They shouldn't be. We do not condone this.
Right.
No imam is coming out discredit or saying that we don't condone this. In fact, all ISIS-affiliated websites and Facebook pages everywhere around the net are praising in jubilation.
They're celebrating.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, it seems to me like the peaceful part of Islam is when no infidels are involved. They're very peaceful to each other. At least that's what they claim.
Right.
Unless you're stealing, and then they'll chop your hands off. Or if you're homosexual, they'll go ahead and kill you. Even if you're a Muslim, which we know how it works biologically speaking. Actually, Brian and I may actually disagree on this. I believe that homosexuality is something you're born with, and because of that, it is a mental disorder.
It is a mental disorder as well, but I believe
you think that
because
I've
seen people develop mental disorders because of abuse, physical and mental abuse, extremely early on in childhood, like between the ages of 1 and 6, 7, 8. If you start to endure some extreme abuse, you tend to compartmentalize. Your brain goes into this mode for protection, to protect you. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Why do our children not remember what happened a couple of years ago? Like my daughter's 6.
Well, nobody
she can't remember 3 years ago when she was 3.
Right, it's weird. This is an interesting. If you don't have kids, if you do have kids, you may not even know about this phenomenon. But everybody knows that very few people remember anything before like the age of 3.
Right.
You don't have memories from when you were 2. But when my daughter was 2 years old and 3 years old, I asked her, because I was just curious, because I know about that phenomenon that nobody remembers. I asked her, do you remember this thing that we did 6 months ago? And she did remember it.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
But check this out. As soon as she hit 4, 5, she did not remember those things anymore.
And here's my whole point about homosexuality and what I have seen personally in people that because I've been curious about the whole thing.
Oh, you were curious about homosexuality.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it does not promote our species as a
right.
creature.
If everybody was homosexual, then we would die out in one generation.
It doesn't work.
The whole species would go away.
So why is this 2.5% of the population at most, at best? Okay.
You're supporting my argument, because there's always going to be like a kid with Down syndrome. There's always going to be kids
Correct.
that are born with all kinds of birth defects and whatnot. Some of them live, some of them don't even live, or whatever. So there's always going to be errors when there's reproduction.
Well, and I don't
it's
a
know small
if
percentage.
I hate to call it an error. I think that might be a little too.
Oh, I guess it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how you look at it.
Okay, so here's the thing that I've seen. And for those of you women out there who are lesbian or maybe possibly or whatever, I probably am going to offend you, and I'm not trying to.
Yeah, there's a lot of offense going on here.
I'm trying to be real, and from what I've seen, I have never met a female lesbian that didn't have some kind of major issue with a male, her father, home life, except one.
Okay.
Except one. That is strange. I didn't think about that one. Anyways, and you would know her if I mentioned her.
Okay.
So, but there seems to be a major dysfunction in the rearing of the child in the home life.
Gay people that I've known over the years, I may not have known about their past because I never really had a reason to get into it.
Right.
But they tell me as soon as they got to that age where they began to start having actual physical attractions to other people, it was automatically the same sex.
Right.
So it was kind of like there was no choice. Like, and I say it this way too. When I was coming of age, I didn't have a choice.
No, it's true. Think about that. There is no possible. I could not physically.
No,
it was worse than anybody on heroin.
Yeah, right, and that's exactly how it was for
crack
me too.
Cocaine,
and it's interesting. It's interesting. The gay people that I've known would tell me, or I've heard them say, that the thought of them with the opposite sex actually makes them want to puke.
Right, and I've met a lot of gay men out in L.A. that would say things like that to me a lot. They're like, man, how can you do that?
Oh,
and I'm
like, you know what? I don't want to hear about it. Is what they'll say.
Right.
I don't even want to hear about it.
When they attack me about my choice, and I never attack them about their choice. However, their choice to me is
right, but the feeling is mutual, which actually supports my theory that it's something wired in the brain.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, and I agree with that 100%. It is something wired in the brain. If you read a lot of self-help books, if you dive into Anthony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within, you can start to see him lay out things in his book that explain to you how, like, if you do something one time, you do it one time, it's like laying a thin thread. Do it again, you're laying another thin thread. If you do it repeatedly, you literally have a giant thick cord.
Yeah, you're talking
which
about
is impossible to cut.
The actual neurological connections in your brain.
Right, you rewire those connections in your brain.
And every time you do something, the same thing over and over and over again, even it could be thoughts.
Right.
It could be actions or it could be thoughts. Those connections are reinforced and thickened, and then that's why when you get into bad habits, they're really hard to break,
right? Because
you've already developed that thing, and it actually strengthens those connections in your brain. But anyway, so we're talking so much about this because the Orlando massacre. Okay, so this was a gay bar,
correct?
But I don't really necessarily like gay bar, gay club, whatever. I don't like that characterization. Because there are clubs in Cincinnati that the media, if something were to happen there and it became news, could characterize as gay clubs.
Well, but denoting it and saying that it is a predominantly gay.
Ah, see, you didn't. You said something that they're not saying. They're just calling it a gay club.
But that's Smith Radio. That's what we do here.
No, we need to explain why, though.
Okay.
We need to explain why.
And I'm telling
I
you,
don't like that characterization.
Okay, but I'm telling you right now, I believe that it needs to be stated that it is a gay environment predominantly in that club, and the reason why
keyword is predominantly
right, and the reason why it needs to be stated is because that is a direct connection to the shooter, who, I mean, that is the reason why he went in there,
right? And apparently, I guess his father was interviewed, and his father said that he saw some gay people kissing, maybe at a club, maybe at a public place that's not a club, whatever. And that was his motive for doing a rampage, and which you got to know when you do that, you're not going to survive.
Right.
Even if you don't get killed in the act, you're probably going to get executed.
Right. Well, and that's funny you say that. There was audio. There's somebody. Well, actually, get this. Russia TV RT.
Oh, RT. That's Russia Today.
Russia Today. Or, sorry, Russia TV. Russia Today.